After a fun evening of handing out candy to trick-or-treaters on Halloween night, October 31st, 2020, at around 8:30 p.m. I received a message on my Instagram account from an unfamiliar username. I have always considered myself a private and cautious person when it comes to my online presence. That was until that fateful Halloween when I received a chilling message on my social media account. The sender's username was something cryptic like "Anonymous watching," and the message simply said, "I know everything." I couldn't shake off the initial discomfort, thinking it was just a Halloween prank by a friend, but things escalated quickly. Anonymous watching began to post my personal information, details that only someone close to me could know. It was as if they had access to my entire life, where I worked, where I lived, my daily routines, and even secrets I had confided in only a few trusted friends. The posts soon turned even more sinister. Photos from my private albums began appearing on his feed, along with disturbing messages like, "You can't hide from me." It felt like the digital world I knew was collapsing, and I was exposed to the entire online realm to scrutinize. Terrified and desperate, I reported the harassment to the social media platform, but Anonymous watching kept reappearing with new accounts. I even contacted the local police, but they seemed overwhelmed by the sheer volume of cybercrime cases. As the days passed, I became increasingly isolated, scared to leave my house, and terrified of every message notification on my phone. As the stalker's relentless pursuit continued, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I combed through my friends and followers, attempting to identify anyone who might have a motive. I even hired a cybersecurity expert to trace the IP address, but the stalker's steps were masked too well. The line between my online and real life began to blur. I started to feel watched, even when I was alone in my apartment. Paranoia gripped me, making every creak of a floorboard or rustle of leaves outside seem like a potential threat. One evening, while I was browsing my social media, a new message arrived, this time with a picture of my apartment building. The stalker claimed they knew where I was, even when I was offline. Panic set in as I considered the possibility of a real-world encounter. I began to withdraw from social life, disconnecting from my online profiles and going to great lengths to safeguard my privacy, and the threat stopped coming. The following year, as Halloween approached again, I heard a chilling whisper from outside my window. There, in the dimly lit street, a figure stood, masked and menacing. I couldn't see his face, but I knew they were the ones of the person who had been tormenting me. As I called 911, the stalker vanished into the shadows. The police arrived promptly but found no trace of the intruder. I moved to another city with my mother, and the question of who it might have been or what could have happened still lingers in my mind to this day. Before we continue, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Every Halloween my friends and I had a tradition of celebrating Halloween differently each year, and this time, we decided to immerse ourselves in the eerie atmosphere of a remote forest just outside of town. We left for our adventure at around 5:30 p.m., determined to make it an unforgettable Halloween night. We hiked deep into the forest, set up our campsite, and got a roaring campfire going. The atmosphere was perfect, with the moon casting an eerie glow through the dense canopy of trees. We shared ghost stories, roasted marshmallows, and reveled in the serenity of nature. As the night grew darker, the distant hoots of owls and the rustling of leaves became more pronounced. At first, we dismissed the sounds as typical forest noises. However, an unsettling feeling began to creep over us when the noises seemed to get closer. We realized we were being watched. We huddled closer to the campfire, nervously trying to rationalize our fear. "It's just our imagination," one of my friends said, trying to keep the mood light. But there was no denying it, something or someone was out there, hidden in the darkness. Then, from the shadows, we heard a low, guttural laugh. The chill it sent down our spines was undeniable. Panic set in, and we scrambled to gather our gear, intending to leave immediately. We shone our flashlights into the forest, revealing nothing but trees and darkness. The relentless stranger's presence was palpable, and it became clear that we were not welcome here. We couldn't see who or what was stalking us. Terrified but determined, we formed a circle, our flashlights cutting through the night like beacons of hope. We inched our way back towards the trailhead, sticking close together. As we finally emerged from the forest into the moonlit clearing, we caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure, just a fleeting silhouette. We sprinted back to town, the relentless stranger hot on our heels. It wasn't until we reached the safety of civilization that the haunting pursuit finally ceased. The encounter left us shaken, and we quickly contacted the police to report the dangerous individual we had encountered in those haunted woods on Halloween night. We later learned from the authorities that the stranger in the woods wasn't some supernatural entity, it was a deranged wanted serial killer who had been hiding out in the forest, using Halloween as a cover for his sinister plans. On October 31, 2018, Halloween was in full swing in our quiet neighborhood. The evening had an eerie chill to it, and the sound of children's laughter mixed with the rustle of leaves underfoot. Our neighborhood had a tradition of hosting grand Halloween parties, and this year, it was my turn to throw one. As the sun set, the porch lights flickered to life, illuminating the decorations that adorned my front yard. Spooky cobwebs, carved pumpkins, and fake tombstones set the perfect ambience for the occasion. My friends and neighbors began to arrive, and it wasn't long before the scent of grilled hot dogs and the laughter of costumed guests filled the air. One of my friends, Alex, brought a vintage Ouija board as an addition to our Halloween festivities. It seemed like harmless fun, something to send shivers down our spines as we gathered around the board in the dimly lit living room. We turned off the lights, leaving only a few candles to provide an eerie glow, and placed our fingers gently on the planchette. The atmosphere was electrifying as we asked the board simple questions. At first, it seemed like an innocent party game, with the planchette moving erratically, spelling out words that made us giggle nervously. But as the evening wore on and the clock struck midnight, the mood shifted. The planchette started to move with purpose, spelling out cryptic messages and names of people who had long passed away. Goosebumps covered our arms as we realized that no one at the party was manipulating the board. It was as if an unseen force had taken control. As the board spelled out more messages, we felt a presence in the room, a cold gust of air that seemed to have no source. Panic spread through the group, and someone suggested ending the session, but the planchette refused to budge. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, startling us all. I hesitantly got up to investigate, and my heart pounded. In the kitchen, the back door stood wide open, even though we'd locked it earlier. A gust of cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles on the dining table. Panic took hold as we rushed back to the living room, where the Ouija board spelled out, "Leave now." We couldn't explain what had happened, but we knew we had encountered something beyond our understanding. From that Halloween night onward, no more Halloween parties.